All right. Hey, Trevor. Hello. How's it going?
Going well. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for making time for this interview for
Oh,
A2C
my
and Live.
pleasure.
Really
Yeah,
appreciate
my
it.
pleasure.
If you could just introduce yourself, where are you going to college right now? What are you studying? And where are you right now? Your hometown. Yeah, just give us a little bit of an intro.
Yeah, my pleasure. Hello, everyone. My name is Trevor. I go to UC Berkeley, and I'm starting my third year. There, I'll be studying history. And let's see, right now, I'm in my hometown, which is in Southern California, in a little town called Barstow. It's the midway point of LA and Vegas, so a lot of frequent stops through here for folks.
And I think it'd be really helpful for before we jump into your story for people to kind of know your religious background. You didn't grow up in the church, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, I did grow up around Christianity. Pretty much everyone I knew had a belief in God. They affirmed the story of Jesus. But even though folks around me were Christians, I actually was an atheist for most of the time that I considered my own religious beliefs. I thought that kind of the belief of God was obsolete in a sense. I thought that science had answered so many questions, and so many questions that folks used to answer with God could easily be explainable by science. So that's pretty much how that happened.
So the question we're trying to talk about today is why are Christians so exclusive? We're kind of talking about it from the angle of like Christians thinking they have the only answer. I'm just really curious. Before you became Christian, while you were an atheist, how did you feel about that?
I actually didn't have much of an issue with it. I do know now that that is that can be a significant hangup for folks. But yeah, like I said, it was never really a big issue for me. And I think the reason for that was because I wanted to believe what was right, and I already had an idea of there is one truth, and everything else is not that, right? There either is a God or there isn't, right? Two can't be true at the same time, and so with that does come exclusivity, and I mean I recognize that in myself. I kind of walked around saying I don't believe in God, and I was making an exclusive claim, right? That's something that's very confrontational to a lot of people who do believe in God. If you walk around and say that, and if I'm being honest, I was a little smug and snarky about it. I kind of enjoyed going against the grain, and so yeah. I mean, I think the issue of exclusivity, it was not only was it not much of a problem, but it was already something that I was used to.
So then tell me how a smug atheist teenager became interested in Christianity and even began to investigate it. Yeah, tell me a little bit about how that journey happened.
Yeah, I'd love to. I started to think like, okay, let's see if, like, I understand what people mean by God, and if maybe this God is, above my comprehension. So maybe it's not in my power or comprehension to even say that he doesn't exist.
Mm.
So it just seemed a little too hard to be conclusive on that answer. And also I mean, I started to really see the cracks in taking a scientific, or you might say naturalistic worldview, which is, science definitely has bounds, and it wasn't addressing the deeper issues that I was having with life, and deeper parts of life that I knew to be true. I came to UC Berkeley, and I had ended up meeting these Christians who, man, they showed me something that I'd never seen before, and that was just very powerful and solid arguments for the existence of God and the Christian faith.
So what were some of the things that they said? Was there a few arguments that really stood out to you?
Yeah. I mean, right off the bat, I can think of the moral argument for the existence of God. I thought that was so powerful. And to this day, I think so. And I mean, I remember when I was meeting with the guy who I was discussing these things with, I distinctly remember looking him in the eye and shaking his hand and going, I think I believe that God exists now. And I mean, it
Wow.
was that powerful. Yeah. And I think also another thing that was um, something that really struck me was the historical evidence for Jesus's life, death, and resurrection. That I didn't really think that this was something that was that can be historically demonstrated or proven. And so again, that was really powerful. And if I could just speak on this, I've only given a couple things that were convincing. There were many other things that I found convincing, and I think it's important to kind of take all the evidence together collectively and hold the weight. It's not just one argument that will sell you. It's usually the weight of them all. So yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a really good way to capture sort of the intellectual journey you took. And for all of you who don't know what the moral argument is for the existence of God, or you don't know what the historical evidence is for the life and death and resurrection of Jesus, we put some links in the description that you can look at later. I think that those are really fascinating. There's tons of resources out there for stuff like that. And so, so it seems like you got to a point intellectually where you were like, okay, this might be true. There's still like another step you need to take to like personally decide I'm going to become a Christian. So maybe you can speak into that. How did that happen?
The thing that was interesting about it was that when I started to read the word and hear the word, I realized that Christianity was accurately describing my own condition. The likes of which I had never encountered before. And it was very upfront and plain. Christianity it holds no punches. And when it says that we are all sinners, and it kind of blew me back. But at the same time, I was like, man, I know this is true. It was not hard for myself to see me as a sinner. And I knew that, I had wronged people in the past, and, whether that was kind of, selfishness, or hatred towards friends, or just ways that I'd wronged, my family. And even in the ways that I, had interacted with girls, it was not hard at all to see that I was a sinner. And then when I saw that at the core of myself was a sinner, and that there is no escaping that, the story of Jesus that I had known for a long time, even from when I was little, as I had explained earlier, the story that, Jesus died on the cross for my sins, it clicked. And I was it was incredible to know that there was a way to be made right in the eyes of God, and just to feel the grace and the forgiveness that God had given me through Jesus. And when my heart, my mind, my experience, when it all clicked, I knew that I needed to put my faith in Jesus. I needed to trust it with my life. I needed to trust it like how a skydiver trusts their parachute cord. Like they have to trust that thing is going to save them. But with this, I can trust it even more, and I know it even more to be true. And it saves. I knew it saved my eternal life. That's what Jesus said. So yeah, that's kind of how I came to that.
Wow, that is amazing. And I think there's so much there for people to chew on and think about. But I just wanted to close up the interview with one final question, which is kind of back to this topic of exclusivity, and why are Christians so exclusive? Now that you've made that journey and you became a Christian and all that, looking back and drawing from your own story, what's something you would like to say to people who really struggle with this question, who really have this question, and what's something you would want to say to people who really struggle with this question?
Something that I would just like to say that maybe might make you think a little bit differently about Christianity when compared to other religions, right, is that it's very unique in how one is saved. And what do I mean by that in reference to other religions? And what I mean by that is that so many other religions will tell you this is what you need to do to achieve enlightenment, heaven, nirvana, so on and so forth. Or maybe here's what's wrong with you, and this is what you have to do to fix it. I hope you do it well enough. But Christianity is very plain and upfront when it says you can't do it. It's already been done for you, and just believe it. And something that is the most beautiful about that statement is when you understand why God did it for you, it's out of love. And that really did cut to my own heart. And I think if you have that open mind, you'll come to see that Christianity does accurately describe your own condition. And I think in my own journey, I did well, and I know you will do well if you can keep your biases in check. I have gone over like debates that I had watched when I was an atheist. I'd gone over them after I became a Christian, and I kind of realized, I was like, man, I wasn't seeing what these people were really saying. I was just only ever looking for confirmation for what I already had believed. I didn't have an open mind at all at the time, and I'm really thankful that I was able to have an open mind and seek the truth. So that would be my advice: have an open mind and seek the truth honestly.
Yeah, I think that's really well spoken. Have an open mind, seek the truth, and man, here's something that's really unique about Christianity. It makes it stand out among all the other religions, right? And so I think that's a great place to end. Thank you so much for your time, Trevor. Really appreciate you sharing your story with us. And I think there's a lot there for people to think about.